Greetings and hallucinations, folks. I have a cast for you today on White Fire. I love this map. It is an excellent mix of land, air, and navy. And this is the 4 versus 4 version. I don't know if any of you have played it yet. I have played on it once, and it is a blast. Every bit as fun as the 3 versus 3 version. A little bit of extra reclaim to make up for there being 4 people. Couple of extra mass extractors right here in the back, and you have a bigger team to work with. This map forces an overwhelming use of strategy over, I don't know how to pick it, how to describe it. You have a very limited number of mass extractors, and it is a big map. So you have to use subtle strategies, you have to use good macro, and you have to have a plan and execute it well, or you're basically just going to run out of mass and be a sitting duck. This map does not work for ecoing, so it forces action, and that is why I love it. On the northern team, this is actually a pretty high-ranking match. I think this will fall out just barely within the average Joe's lineup. We have WAW Alex, who is Sneaky Snake. Those of you who have had to endure the Alex spam in chat know what I mean and know what all this is about. So that is Sneaky Snake, Softly, Jive Turkey, and that is Vivaldi, currently named A. Alex. On the southern team, we do have Pak, Sep Commander, and the 2 pink players, Silver Kronos and Kaiser. Alrighty guys, that is our lineup. As you can tell, this is going to be a strong map for hover, and definitely we will see some Navy play. I'm going to go ahead and bump up the speed, and we will see where the game takes us. Very, very early land scout, slowly making his lonely way across the vast expanse of ocean between the 2 land masses. Calmly and serenely, blissfully strolling across the water, avoiding any of the little blips that he sees to take up residence next to the abandoned factory. Prime little piece of real estate there. Alrighty. Might be a decent little bit of eco. He can see a little bit. I know why he did that. That is to check and see when Navy's coming online. That is exactly why he sent that scout. We do have a bomber and scout over here. That is a brilliant snipe, picking off that engineer right before the hydro gets done. Well done, good sir. Sneaky Snake, that was quite sneaky. He's going to have 2 interceptors out, nab that bomber before it gets anything. I spoke too soon. It is going to kill that engineer, but it is too late. The factory's in the water and the frigate's on the way. This bomber is still harassing down here. Quite surprising, but there is the interceptor. We do have a sub out, followed by a frigate immediately for Sneaky Snake. That is easily going to nab off that trident. No problem there. We are seeing all 4 players on the southern team dip a toe into the water. There's a couple of them that are a little later to the game, but the northern team has all 4 in the Navy as well. Another bomber coming in here, going to nab that radar, but miss the engineer. So nothing really accomplished in that. At the moment, it looks like Softly is leading in eco. He is pulling a massive 41 mass. All T2 mass extractors and over halfway to capping. He does have a T2 naval factory, as does Sneaky Snake. That is a pretty early jump on it. We do have a T2 factory down here, but it was slightly later. Has not turned out a unit yet, and then an idle tier 2 right here. We are going to see a sub hunter over here as well. There is not as much air as I would have thought there would be. Usually airplay is vital on this game, on this map. You will see some drops, you will see a lot of bombers, some stealthy sniping, but It looks like this is turning into a 90% naval game. There is the Zooey spam. When there is Seraphim and there is water, especially when there's a small map like this, you will see Zooeys. Seeing a massive pause for Pock. He must be having power issues, I would think. Sneaky Snake is saying Torpcom. That is going to be Kaiser walking across with his T1 Navy and a Torpedo Commander. That is a brutal combination. So much. There's close to 300 torpedo damage on that commander, and the range is absolutely immense. You can see right there. That is about 25% larger than the destroyer torpedo ring. Can casually stand behind the rest of his navy and obliterate whole groups of T1 with total impunity, and has a very good chance of defending himself against T2, especially when you have a navy to back you like this. The Zooey spam has moved in. This is a dangerous situation for Sneaky Snake. He is going to lose his base over this, I do believe. Ah, there he goes. I think that was a Control K. Whether he died to artillery fire or a Control K, the effect is going to be the same. His base goes up in smoke. Of course, it's no share. And it is now 3 versus 4. There was a nice little jab across the water with some hover spam here, but that was quickly shut down. Now we're seeing yet more Zooey spam headed out to the right side. Kaiser asking how he died. I think it was T1 artillery. Not sure. He's in the same boat I am. I really think that was a Control K though. So not sure why Sneaky Snake took a dive. Apparently he was sick of life. Ah yes, for those of you who are wondering, I did get my CPU fixed. I'm now cruising along at a pleasant 4.4 gigahertz. For those of you who are interested, that is at 1.2, or no, 0.1255 volts. 100% stable. I finished running the test, and I am currently +8 speed on this replay. So I should be able to cast some epic games and not have any slowdown that will put a damper on our fun. Right now it looks like the T2 Navy is just exchanging blows, really not making any progress one way or the other. But on the land, trying to get a proxy base up. Pock is able to get 2 land factories, but I don't know if he is going to be able to get a foothold. Was able to kill the point defense. There's another point defense going up, and T1 bombers headed across. Unfortunately, the Navy is occupied. This is a violent last stand by 3 Exoduses versus a torpedo comm, a shield boat, and a host of enemy Navy. Micro, my friend. Micro will save you. Maybe. Perhaps. But then again, the numbers may be too great. Finally getting some assistance from over here. 2 more Exoduses. With the ones being pushed out here, that makes a total of 5. 1 was killed off. That would have been 6. Exodus class having very good torpedo damage. They are going to be able to force back that commander, dodging in and out, circling around, trying to front with a shield. A little bit of harassment going on the southern side here, but that is not enough Navy to be pushing with. And the bombers and the point defense have finally dealt with this up here. That is going to be a total shutdown for Pock, although it did delay the locking down of this expansion, so in a way I think that was worth the mass because it did deny that extra eco. Pock, the eco king at the moment. That is a bright shield with the white background. I can hardly even see through that thing. Has a few T3 mechs and is doing very well for himself. I believe he is using the eco mod. That is the only thing I can come up with for why he is having these mass pauses, unless he is manually pausing that so that he can get these mass extractor upgrades done in a more timely manner to get his payback. This combined push on the left side has finally broken that naval hold over here. The Exodus class is weak by itself because of the slow fire rate, the slow moving projectile. But when you get a bunch of them together, the combined fire of all of those guns and then the high health of the unit itself makes it a brutal tier 2 option. I believe in numbers it is much stronger than the Salem even. T3. For the Seraphim player, we have a battleship out. It has been out for just a second, but not really doing anything interesting, although now it is bombarding the base. And a T3 sub. This is like playing Ring Around the Rosie on the center island. And that was a mistake. They should have brought in the rest of this Navy, and while they had the option, they should have pushed in here and killed off these HQs. A T2, a T3, all of the ACUs are there. They could have done so much damage to that, and instead they chose to circle back around and drive away this battleship. I think forcing the issue down here would have eventually drawn the battleship back regardless, and I think it would have been more effective to simply dive into the build power here. I'm sure there will be some people who disagree with me, but that is my opinion and I am sticking to it. Hover spam in the base. This is what you do not want to happen when you have hover tanks that come in and invade your space and kill off all of your engineers. Such an annoyance. Then you have to wait for several minutes while your build power gets built back up. All in all, it is quite the little annoyance. Probably not game ending, but we all know how aggravating it is when our plans get disrupted. Well, that Tier 2 Navy has finally been dealt with. The battleship is free to roam the wide open seas once more. It is headed back across to try its hand at demolishing poor Vivaldi's base. The front can be either really fun or really a nightmare to play. You are the most exposed player, you have sea all the way around you, and you can and will lose your base at different points in the game. On the other hand, you are the closest to the action. You have the option of going hover spam, and a lot of exciting things happen early in the game, so it is really just a matter of how well you do and how much backup you get from your team. This is not good. There are 2 Neptunes, 3 Neptunes coming in. That is going to be bad. And Jive Turkey has decided that a Tempest is a good idea. Normally I would disagree at this point in time, though he may actually have a point, because that will outrange all the Navy that is currently on the water, except for this Governor class cruiser. Yathatha headed across. This is going to be a devastating hit. My sad words unfortunately coming true about the mid base here. Vivaldi is going to go nuclear. Nothing really he could do to stop that. When Yathatha emerges from the water on your tiny, tiny island, there is nowhere to run but into the water, and when you're in the middle of your base, that is just about impossible to do. This is why sinking mass into a Tempest is a bad idea. You get hover spammed to death. The Tempest cannot deal. Vivaldi saying not sure if the Tempest was a good idea, and he is correct. While you do have the range, you give one shot every many seconds. It does not help you at all when the enemy has hover spam. I think that is going to be the end for the Northern team. That was a well-played game. A bit of a naval standoff, but I was very impressed that the Northern side was able to hold as long as they did after losing that player early. That was quite the impressive little push there. I think the critical mistake of this game was not killing off the build power back here. If they had pressed their advantage, left the battleship alone, and pushed through this gap, they could have wiped out the build power, they could have wiped out a whole lot of eco right here, and they would have drawn that battleship back around and then forced this team into a defensive posture. But instead, by letting up pressure before they did any real damage, they sacrificed their whole navy, wasting the time to move across here, and then lost. Kind of sad to see, but that is how it goes. Alrighty guys, that is going to wrap it up for this cast. Thank you so much for watching. As always, leave any replays that you wish to have casted in the comments below. Message me on the forums or shoot me an email here or on Facebook. And with that, I am out of here.